This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is now available on Amazon. A link to the book will be placed in the description below. Hey y'all, this is another W6CSA YouTube video. Recently put up a 220 repeater and just doing a quick shot of it. There's the receiver. It's the software I'm using. It's from K1 RDA, the same guy that made Echo Link. It's called Echo Station. And you can set your events or anything. I don't have any events or identification coming out of the controller. I'll show you why in just a couple of minutes here. Standard computer that I have here. Don't turn it. The ICOM 27 or 37A that I'm using as the transmitter does not have a heatsink on it. And it does not have a fan on the back of it. So actually what I'm doing here is I've got this box fan that's blowing on it, since I'm actually running it at 25 watts, and that way it doesn't get too hot. Just some Sinclair duplexers. These are modified Q2222E, which means that they're actually VHF band in between the business band and the amateur radio, or above the amateur radio band on 2 meters, but they modified nicely for 220. Basically, the way I've got the transmitter receiver set up is the transmitter that I'm using doesn't receive. It's an old radio. Thing's probably, I don't know, 25 years old. And the receiving radio that I had was donated by Steve, KF50YO, and it doesn't transmit. So, way to make use out of 2 repeaters. This is not yet a coordinated system, but I'm working on it. As soon as the Southeast Regional or Southeast Repeater Association decides to give me my coordination, it'll be nice. Alright. I'm going to take a look at the Echo Link software that I have hooked up, which is actually the reason why my controller does not ID. It's really hard to run a Echo Link controller, or excuse me, a Vox controller running a repeater, which is actually what I'm running here, and Echo Link in the same room. There's always a chance for intermod, and of course I've got the repeater and the Echo Link node about 20 feet from each other. This is the Echo Link link radio over here, to which I have transmitting into a dummy load that I've got underneath the desk. It's going through a hole and it's kind of hanging down. I haven't secured it yet, but I'm going to. And this is the radio that I'm using to talk on the repeater while I'm here in the shack. W6CSA. And I'm going to make it do an identification for you. About as redneck as y'all can get.
Welcome to the W6CSA 220 repeater in Biloxi, Mississippi. PL tone is 136.5.
Anyway, my antenna's sitting up at about 40 feet, which means I don't have a whole lot of coverage. It's a MFJ 5/8 wave ground plane that I'm using, and it's sitting on the north side of my house. My elevation at ground level here is 37 feet, so 40 feet above 37 feet puts me right at about 77 feet above sea level, and height above average terrain is right about I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say most things are about 20 feet above sea level around here, so I'm probably about 50 feet over everything else, above average terrain. I get about 15 miles out of it usually, and that's the repeater. A few things I want to run by is separation. When you're running something like this, you have to have separation between the transmitter, the repeater, which is down at the other end of the table. Preferably more than 20 feet, but you can get away with it if you're careful and you set a PL tone. That is about the most important thing that you can do. Another thing that you need to do is make sure that if you're going to do a repeater like this, you don't have to have it coordinated, but you certainly do have to make sure that you're not interfering with anybody. And I did my own research, and down here in South Mississippi on 220, there's no activity. There's only 3 repeaters within 100 miles of here on 220, and both of them are actually owned by friends of mine, and we're eventually going to link them. One is in Diamond Head, Mississippi, about 30 miles away. The other one is in New Orleans, which is about 75 miles away. So if you're going to do this on 2 meters, make sure that you look at your band plan and make sure that you're not on a simplex frequency, you're not in a packet frequency, or if you're going to do it on 440, make sure you're not in the satellite band. Just look at the band plan, make sure you're legal, and make sure that you're not going to cause any interference. And also at least make an effort to get it coordinated. That way you know for sure that you're not interfering with anybody. Just because you can't hit a repeater on the pair that you choose, which of course you have 2 frequencies on a repeater, doesn't mean that if a band opens up and there's another repeater that's 100 miles away on the same frequency pair that you chose, you may interfere with it. And that's especially true down here on the Gulf. And repeaters are usually spaced 150 miles apart before they issue the pair again. Alright, just wanted to make this quick video. Thank you for watching. 73 W6CSA.